Hey everyone! Today I am back doing another video, and this video is actually going to be my very first storytime video. I absolutely love watching storytime videos. Like, I feel like that's really the new thing on YouTube. Like, I feel like YouTube kind of goes in stages. First it's like certain tags, and then this kind of video and that kind of video, and now it's definitely story times, which I absolutely love watching. And when like people or other YouTubers first started to do storytime videos, I didn't really think about doing my own storytime videos because I feel like I didn't have like any stories to share that I feel like would be interesting, you know what I mean? And then I just started thinking about it one night after I got done watching like a ton of storytime videos. I was like, okay, like I've got to have at least some, you know, storytime worthy stories or memories that have happened in my life. Like, I feel like, because everyone does. And so I just started thinking about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I really do have some storytime videos that I think would be worth sharing, that I think maybe some people hopefully will find interesting. So that is what I'm going to be doing today. And so I do have a few different story times that I'm going to be doing. Obviously this is just going to be one of them, and then I'm going to be doing more in the future. If for whatever reason you think I'm copying other YouTubers, or I'm sure I'm going to get comments about how I'm copying my sister because she started doing story time videos, you know what? Newsflash, everyone's doing them, and literally any type of video, it could be the most unique video in the world, and I'm sure another YouTuber has done it. So just because I want to, you know, share these stories with you guys and these memories that I have throughout my life, or events, or whatever you want to call them, just because I want to share them, it doesn't mean I'm copying other YouTubers. It's just I find storytime videos interesting, funny, sometimes a little sad or scary, and I just want to, you know, yeah, maybe I am jumping on the bandwagon by posting these story times videos, but you know what? I don't care, because I enjoy these videos, and I hope and I know that some of you enjoy them as well. So with all that out of the way, I am going to move on to this story time, which you can tell by the title is I basically almost cut my finger off. And this happened, I was in the 6th grade. So how old was I? Like 11 or 12. And I feel like it's actually like a really funny story now that I think about it now, and I like thinking back then, like I made such a big deal about it, like when in a way it really wasn't that big of a deal. But anyways, so to jump right into this story, it was just one night I came home from school. I was just working on homework. I believe it was a Thursday night. Like, I just remember this so vividly. It was a Thursday night. I got home from school. I was working on homework, and I ate some dinner, and I decided after dinner that I was still kind of hungry because I'm a chunk, and so I wanted to eat it's like these little like tuna snacks. I cannot remember like what exactly they're called. They're like the little like round things of tuna, and they come with like crackers, if you know what I mean. You can like put the tuna on the crackers, or you can eat like me and just eat them separately. And I loved those things, or I really love those things still to this day. Like, they're so good. So I decided to eat that kind of for like my snack after dinner. And so, you know, I was just opening the package like, you know, you would normally open anything that you're gonna eat or whatever, and I wasn't really paying attention because I was watching a movie, I believe, and I was also talking to Brie, so I was just kind of like looking at Brie and looking at the TV while I'm like opening this packaging. And so I open it and I start eating it, and I look down and I notice there's a bunch of like red stuff in the tuna thing that I was eating out of, and I was like, what the heck is this? Like, I had no idea what was going on. And so I just, which is really stupid because I didn't know what it was, but I just continued to eat it anyways. Like, I just realized how stupid that was. But anyways, even though there was just this random red stuff in it, covered in it, that obviously looked like blood, but I didn't really know what it was, I just continued to eat it. So anyways, I just kept eating it, and I ate my crackers and whatever, and somehow I don't know if I looked at this hand or I did something with this hand, and I noticed my hand and my finger, it was my index finger, was just covered in blood. And I was like, what the heck? And I was like, when I cut myself, obviously I cut myself, and I realized I did by seeing all this blood on my hand. I didn't feel it at all. And actually what I cut it on was the tuna packaging, because it was one of like those like little can things you like, you know what I mean? And they're obviously razor sharp, clearly. I didn't even feel it when I cut it, so that's why I had no idea like what the red stuff was in my tuna. I had no idea what was, or I realized it was blood on my hand, but I didn't realize what did it at that moment. And so basically to clean it up, because I didn't have like a napkin near me, I just started like licking my hand and like sucking on my finger. This story time is kind of turning like really disgusting and weird. But anyways, I didn't have anywhere else to clean it up, and it was my own blood, so obviously I just did it. And so I was like kind of cleaning myself up, whatever, and I stick my finger in my mouth to kind of like suck the blood out so I could like at least clean it up a little bit so I could go and get a bandage or something and I don't get blood all over the carpet. And this is the moment where I learned like I cannot stand the taste of blood, because when I put my finger in my mouth and the littlest suck from like sucking the blood up, like my entire mouth just filled with blood, and it was coming out of my mouth like it was so much blood. I've never experienced this much blood in my entire life. And from doing that, my mouth was just filled with blood, and I tried to swallow it, but I couldn't. Like, ugh. Yeah, that's when I learned I can't stand the taste of blood. That was just, it's disgusting when you have that much blood. Like, it's bad. And so I'm trying to kind of get this down, or at least try to get somewhere where I can like spit it out, but like the blood was just coming. It was rushing and it was going everywhere. I got it all over my shirt. It was all still in my mouth, just coming down my mouth. I still had blood all over my hand. And then that's when I realized like, oh my gosh, like I seriously cut myself. And so my mom was in the shower at the time, but thankfully she just got out of the shower. So I'm starting to cry, because I'm starting to get really scared, because like I said, I've never seen this much blood in my life. So I'm starting to cry because I'm so terrified of like what I did to myself. I still didn't realize that I cut myself on the tuna thing. So that was another scary thing, because I didn't know where all this blood was coming from. I thought it was like dying or something. And so I go to the bathroom, and I still have like my hands like right here by my mouth, like catching the blood that's like dripping out of my mouth. And I still have blood in my mouth, and I'm kind of like ugly crying. So like my mouth's kind of open and I have blood all over my teeth. And right when my mom saw me, she like, her face was like priceless. She was like, "What did you do?" Like her eyes got like so wide, and she was like frozen because there was so much blood. And she was probably so frustrated. She was like, "Oh my gosh, you guys, like I literally can't take a shower for 10 minutes without this happening." And another funny thing about this is she actually blamed Brie at first. She thought Brie did something to me. She thought Brie like punched me in my mouth, because like I said, like from like sucking the blood off my finger, I had blood all over my mouth and in my mouth and stuff like that. So she originally blamed Brie, and she kept asking me, she was like, "What happened? What did Brie do? What's going on?" But I have blood all in my mouth and I can't swallow it because the taste is just god awful. So I'm just sitting there, and then I just had to go to the sink, obviously, to spit everything out and whatever, so I could tell my mom like kind of what happened, even though I didn't really know what happened at the time. And I go to the sink and I spit out all the blood, and I just let my hand sit in there, and still blood is just gushing. And this is where I really am freaking out. Like I am screaming, I am crying, because this is where I'm like actually seeing the tons and tons of blood coming out of my finger. Because even though I knew there was a lot of blood coming out of my finger because I had it in my mouth, I could tell by how much blood I had in my mouth when I was like trying to like clean up the blood, if you know what I mean. I didn't really realize it, or it didn't really hit me because I wasn't seeing it. Even though I could taste it, I could definitely taste it, I wasn't really seeing it. So putting my hand in the sink and seeing all that blood everywhere, like that freaked me out. Like I was totally convinced I was gonna die, because I just couldn't believe how much blood like I was losing. Like it was beyond ridiculous. And it didn't really help, because I don't know if this was just me being like paranoid, or my own like anxiety stricken self was making me do this, but I was also starting to get like really cold, and that really scared me, because I was like, oh my god, I'm losing too much blood, I'm starting to get cold, like my body's not gonna be able to survive this. Like I was freaking out, and I look back on it now, like I feel like it wasn't that big of a deal, because if any of you have known that have like cut your fingers or anything like that, like your fingers tend to bleed a ton. I don't know why, and I've heard that from other people that have cut their fingers, like fingers just bleed a lot. So now that I think about it, that I was literally freaking out, like just going bonkers, like it just kind of makes me laugh now. Anyways, I'm still in the bathroom just watching all this blood come out of my finger. I still have blood all over my mouth, in my mouth, all over my shirt. Like it was just, like, it looked like a murder scene. It really did. And so my mom's like yelling for my sister to go get like a washcloth so I can wrap my finger on it and put some pressure on it. And so we did that. And then my mom's on the phone calling all these hospitals and, you know, like places we could go, like emergency rooms. And I don't really know how this works. Even as an adult, I still don't understand insurances and all this stuff, but the hospital, like, we're allowed to go to from, like, our insurance was, like, a really long ways away, so my mom was, like, calling around to, like, local hospitals that we could go to so I could just get my finger fixed, but I don't know, for some reason we couldn't go to, a local, or, like, a closer hospital. I don't know. I don't understand how that works. So anyways, we all got in the car, all three of us, and we drove like over an hour to this hospital. I don't even know what hospital it was. And maybe it wasn't even over an hour, but it felt like a really long car ride, and it didn't help that we got stuck in traffic or whatever. So anyways, I'm in the car and I'm just keeping pressure on my finger. We get into the emergency room, get me checked in, whatever. I tell them what happened. At this time I realized, like, okay, I must have cut myself on the tuna thing when I opened it, even though I didn't feel it, anything like that. And so we're just sitting in the waiting room of the emergency room, and of course it took like 3 hours, because any of you know that to go to the emergency room, that's just what happens. And especially since it was just like a cut on my finger, I'm sure I wasn't top priority, which is fine. You know, I'm sure there was other people that had more serious issues. So yeah, we ended up sitting there for like 3 hours, and finally I got in. I was able to see my doctor, and I was able, when he called me back, he obviously took a look at my finger, and this is actually when I was able to see like what damage was done to my finger, because I could never see it before because there was just so much blood. Like I couldn't even see like the cut on my finger or any of the damage that was done to my finger. So anyways, he took the washcloth off. My finger started to calm down on the bleeding. Even though he took it off, it was still bleeding a little bit, but it wasn't like gushing like it was before. And so he took a look at my finger, and oh my God, like it was the deepest cut ever. I mean, clearly I already knew that because of how much blood was coming out, but like I didn't like realize like how thick of like skin we have like on our fingers, or just all over our body in general, because it was like, I don't even know. It was the thickest skin, and it was like a flap, and you could like flip it this way and you could like see underneath. Like that was kind of weird. You could see like all like the vessels and stuff. Like yeah, I cut it really, really deep, and I definitely think I damaged some nerves in my finger, because even to this day, like it just feels weird. I don't like when people touch, or even when I touch this finger, like it just feels different from all my other fingers. Like I don't really know how else to describe it, but I definitely think I damaged some nerves, and especially during the cutting process, because like I said, I didn't even feel myself cut myself, and that's why in the very beginning I had no idea why there was red stuff in my tuna or why there was blood all over my hand. Like I literally didn't feel the cut at all. And yeah, so I definitely think I did some damage like to nerves and underneath the skin. But I honestly wish I had a picture. I don't even know why you guys would want to see it, but like it was just the deepest cut I've ever seen in my entire life. And during this time I started to calm down, because I find that stuff like really cool. Like I don't find that stuff gross, or I'm not one to like pass out over blood or, you know, like icky body stuff, you know what I mean? So this is when I started to calm down, and I just thought it was really cool, and I kept playing with my skin. Like I just kept like folding it over, like, so yeah, I started that was just what I found fun at the time. And so yeah, he just basically, it was just a really quick visit. He took a look at it and he put some glue stuff. I was actually really, honestly, I was like excited to get stitches. I kind of wanted to get stitches because I just think, you know, little kids just think that's cool. But because it's on like the tip of my finger, he didn't think that stitches would help, like they would come apart really easily, which makes sense because you use your hands and fingers so much that so stitches wouldn't work. So we had to use the glue, which is basically, you know, it acts as the stitches, but it's just glue instead of stitches. So he just put the glue on there, you know, put my skin back together, and then we were all set. And that's basically, you know, that whole story time. It definitely was very traumatizing at the time. Like it really was, because of how much blood there was. Like I honestly couldn't believe it. And like, and like I said, I still kind of laugh about it to this day because I don't know. I just think it's kind of funny because I totally overreacted, but you know, that's just who I am. I'm just a super, like, I'm a hypochondriac and I'm anxiety stricken, like, so things like that just really scare me, and I honestly thought I was gonna die. I really did. Anyways, like I said, this was back when I was 11 or 12, so it's been about 10 years, and I still do have a scar on my finger. I want to see if I can show you guys. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, but I'll just go ahead and try to show you guys anyways.
All right, I think this is like the best I'm gonna be able to get. You can kind of see it. It's kind of like an L shape, like it's right there and then it goes down like that. You can see that? Oh, and there's makeup on my hand. That's nice. But yeah. Oh, focus. Focus. There we go. So yeah, that's my beautiful scar that I got from my tuna can.
So yeah, that is my story time about how I almost cut the tip of my finger off. And this definitely isn't the most interesting or the most like exciting story time I have. I definitely have more exciting story times, but of course I'm gonna build up to those. So if you want to see the more exciting story times, definitely stay tuned to my channel, and I will definitely be filming those hopefully in the near future. Anyways, that is the end of this story time video. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. I had a really good time filming this story time video about telling you how overdramatic I was about cutting my finger, but yeah, anyways, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, everyone.